Okay, in this tutorial, you'll learn how to have your character walk. As your character walks, you'll have the appearance of your character holding their blaster weapon. Your character will be able to have the appearance of jumping with their blaster weapon. When you left click and hold the mouse, your character will fire the blaster weapon. Wherever the mouse moves, your character will aim at the mouse. When the mouse goes the other direction, your character will flip to aim with the mouse. You'll learn how to do that. Also, if you notice, when I left click on the mouse, the character shakes. So the character is actually shaking as the character fires the blaster weapon. So that's what you're going to learn as you work your way through this tutorial. Okay, as you see, our blaster is above the player. We need to set up code so the blaster stays with the player. So we're going to click on our new scene events. We're going to click here. The reason why we're clicking here is so we can have this blue line here. This is its own event. We want to make a separate event that's not connected to this. So with this highlighted blue, where this entire event is selected, we're going to click this plus button here to add a new empty event. Okay, in Gdevelop, just clicking here. And Gdevelop, a condition says when something happens, then the action says what to do when that something happens. So you set a condition, and then when that condition is met, you set an action to happen when that condition is met. If you don't have a condition set here, then basically what happens is Gdevelop takes the action and it constantly does it. Pretty much does it all the time. So this is the case we're going to do as far as setting up this gun. So we're going to click Add Action. Then we're going to go to Common Action for all objects. We're going to go to Position. So then we have these different options here. We want to go to this one that says Put an object around another. So we're going to left click here. So now this wants to know what is the object you want to put around another. And you can see it says position an object around another with the specified angle and distance. The center of the objects are used for positioning them. So we're going to click blaster. So this is the object that we're putting on or around another object. Now we're going to click here and select player. So for the rest of these settings, we're going to leave them default. Then we're going to click OK. Okay, so what we're going to do is click on the preview button so we can see how this works out. So you can see here is the blaster. So now when we walk, the blaster moves right with the player. However, the blaster is there when the character is walking. And you can see the character when the character is walking, it has another blaster as well as when it's jumping. So now we have to deal with that. Okay, so as far as dealing with that, we have this event right here that's dealing when the character is moving. When the character is not moving, if I click here and I don't press anything, you can see this looks good as far as the position of the blaster, right? It's when the character moves. I'm going to click to go out of preview. So what we can do is use this event right here. Make sure we clicked on this so we have this outline going around the condition as well as the action. Then we can click this button here, which is add a, when we hover over this, we can see it says add a sub-event to the selected event. So we'll click this, and now we have this sub-event to work with. We'll click here so we can work with this sub-event. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to take this sub-event, which is dependent on this event right here. So this only happened when the player is moving. We'll click Add Action. We'll go to Sprite, Visibility, and then change Sprite Opacity. The object that we want to work with is the blaster. The modification sign is equal to. And then for the setting, 0 will be invisible. 255 will be fully visible. So we're going to click here and then click 0 for the setting. We're then going to click OK. So that means when the player is moving, the blaster will be invisible. So if we click this preview button, we can see our blaster is here. Now when we walk, we didn't see the blaster. Now when you stop, the blaster isn't there now. So we can deal with that. Actually, let me click this again. We want to set this up so that when we jump, we don't see the blaster as well. So that's fairly easy to deal with because of Gdevelop's copy and paste feature. So here is our event for jumping, right? So what we'll do is click on this event with this highlighted blue. So this, condition any event is highlighted. We'll click the add SubEvent button. So then we'll go to this action here. We'll left click on the action. Normally we've been clicking beneath here. So we have the condition as well as the event highlighted. We have just this highlighted. We'll right click, select copy, and then we'll go to this sub-event that we made here. We'll hover right over add action. Let's click here first, and now this is highlighted. We'll hover over add action, then we'll right click and select paste. So now we have this saying when the player is jumping, turn the blaster invisible. So now if we click the preview button, here is our idle. We walk. Now when we jump, the same thing, we don't see the blaster. So as far as jumping, as far as walking, things are good. Now we need to set things up so we have the blaster visible after we move or jump. Okay, to do that, what we're going to do is, this is when our character isn't moving. We're going to click here. So we have the condition as well as the action highlighted, right? We're going to click add a sub-event. We're going to left click here. We're then going to right click, select copy. We're then going to left click here to have this sub-event highlighted. We're going to hover over this add action. We're going to right click and then select paste. Okay, so this is when we have when the character is not moving, we want the blaster to be visible. So we copied and pasted it here. What's nice is we don't have to go and find the code, so we can just double click here. 0 means invisible, 255 means fully visible. So we'll put in 255 and then we'll click OK. Okay, so now with that done, let's click the preview button. So now when we walk and then stop walking, our character has the blaster. When the character jumps, the character looks correct. So that is good. So I'm going to click this X button to get out of that preview. Okay, as far as this tutorial, one of my goals was I wanted to show how to have a player character holding a blaster type weapon, and basically to have this work correctly. Like you see how, let me hit the preview button. I was trying to figure out how to have the character, animate. First I had an idle animation, and I am still learning about the point system, so I wasn't sure how to have the gun move slightly up and down as the character did its idle animation. So I went to just a 1-frame animation, right? When I pressed the jump button, I wanted the character originally to be able to fire while the character was jumping. However, again, trying to position the blaster correctly, I basically just went to having the blaster disappear, and it looks like the character is jumping with the blaster. So from that, the blaster doesn't shoot while you're in the air. The same thing while you're walking. For things to look best for my current solution is, just to have the blaster not look like it's there. Again, I just pressed the X button to exit out of that preview. So what we're going to do is we're going to set things up so that they work when the character is not moving. So with this clicked on, we're going to click to make another sub-event. What we're going to do now that we have this sub-event, we need to make something that actually fires out of this blaster. So we're going to click this plus button here. We're going to go to Sprite. We're going to name this Blast. We're going to click the plus button. that was to the right. We're going to click the Edit with Piskel option. And then what we're going to do is look to our upper right. When we see this to the upper right, we see width, height. This is going to let us resize this area right here. For the width, what we want to do is we're going to type in 20. And for the height, we're going to type in 5. And then after we do that, we're going to go to this yellow resize. We're going to left click on that yellow resize, and you can see this area is resized. I'm going to click on this color area down here. I left clicked and dragged here. I want an orangish color. So now I'm going to left click and drag to get that orange color. I'm going to go to the paint bucket, click here, go to this name of this image that we're working on. I'm going to name this Blast. This is something I'm choosing to do. You don't need to do this to have the code work. I'm going to click Save. So now we have our Blast right here. So with that done, I'm going to click Apply.